So, welcome to part one of this series. It's called part one, but I've actually done an introduction in the previous video. So, if you haven't seen that, please check it out. It's where I explain what this is going to be and what we're trying to achieve here. There will be a link in the description. So, if you haven't seen it, just go there and you'll find it pretty easily. So, in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to look at chord progressions for our first song. And the reason why we look at chord progressions first is because we wanted to lay a nice sounding foundation for the rest of the music that we're going to be making. Well, first of all, the questions that we all have to ask ourselves is, what do we actually want to compose for? And for you, that it's probably a simple answer, because I assume you would be developing a game. So what you compose for would be for you, your game. And for me, that wasn't, I had to choose something. So I just put in Pixel Town game, and this is what I found. And I don't know, I think it connected to me because it resembles like the old Pokemon games. But I also think that's a lot of what the indie space out there looks like. And I hope this would be a fitting representation for the series. So we'll go with this one. And now, after you've chosen the scene that you want to compose for, I want you to think of some words that would describe this scene. And then please write them down, okay? For me, this could be words like calm, relaxing, cozy, peaceful, maybe harmonic. And these will be the words that you keep in mind while choosing the chords for your song, okay? Okay, so what we're going to do next is go to the following website. It's called onemotion.com. And what it is it's basically a chord player for us directly in the browser. And it allows us to simply listen to all of these chords by pressing down on these buttons here. And this means that you don't have to know anything about music theory, but you can simply listen to all of these chords by pressing down on these buttons and just go by ear. It's very handy. And for the sake of this tutorial, by the way, I would really encourage you to only use the ones that are written in bold here. So these would be kind of, if you want the standard chords of this scale that we're currently composing in. And by the way, we're composing in C major. C major is pretty easy for beginners because it's represented by all of the white keys here on the keyboard. Okay? So yeah, please only use these written in bold. This one is kind of weird. Maybe don't use this, but these 6 are totally fine, okay? So you don't want to, I don't want to burden you with all of these options here. They sound nice, but we're gonna stick to these 6 here, okay? You know, don't even listen to them, okay? Focus on these 6. They're gonna sound beautiful. And because one thing that you will hear me say a lot throughout this series is probably going to be that in order to get music done, you have to limit yourself as much as you can. Especially for beginners. I think that's really important because there's so many options that you could choose from, and it's way easier if you just say from the start, okay, this is what I'm gonna do, and I'm not gonna stray from that path, and it's fine, you know. These are great chords. And what you might have noticed also, while I hover over these chords, is that some of them do have a small M right next to them, and this is a distinction that's between minor and major chords. The major sounds are the ones without the M, and the minors are the one with the small m. And to very simplify this distinction, it's that major chords usually tend to sound very bright and happy, whereas minor chords do tend to sound a bit darker and moodier, sad, maybe. That's what you want to describe them. Okay, so happy, and I'm sad. This is happy again. Okay, so now that we know that, I think we can actually come to the fun part of this. And here is where the words that you've chosen to describe your scene will come in very handy. because I want you to categorize the words even further, and try to associate them with one of the following. Are these words either positive or negative? Are they either bright or dark? Or are they happy or are they sad? And try to pick at least one of these words to describe your terms that you've come up. And for me, probably all of the things like calm, relaxing, peaceful, they would all probably associate more with the bright and the happy parts. But for you, such a small town like this, it might be calm and peaceful, but it might also be a little bit melancholic, So that would be a bit of a darker term to describe this, for me at least. So you might say, okay, this is calm and peaceful, but also it feels melancholic. So what you could do is say, okay, calm and peaceful are very happy and bright sounds. So I might stick to, for most of it, to the major sounds, but there might also be a little darker component in there. So let's say we're going to pick the D minor option here and see what this sounds like. I think it already sounds pretty good. You have mostly the bright and happy sounds and then a little bit of drama maybe here put in with the minor chord. But for me, it's more like this, I would say. It's more like all happy. I don't have any negative or sad connotations to the other associations with this one. So for me, it would be something like this. And what I can also tell you is there is a particular reason why I chose to go to C 2 times, because in our scale of C major, C would be somewhat of the home chord for us. And you can think of this town maybe as a hometown. So C chord is the one that we want to start on. It feels safe and that we want to go back to. And I've chosen to go back to it 2 times. So from the G to the C and from the F back to the C. And I know this is a very advanced way of thinking maybe, and you don't have to know that this is how the C chord works. But it just shows you how you can use chords to paint a picture or to tell us to tell a story and describe a scene, But for you, I want you to think of these chords as positive or negative, bright or dark, or happy or sad. And then with this, try to compose a chord progression that tries to express something a little bit more nuanced. Like I said, with the D minor here, something bright, but also a little bit of melancholic, Okay, so spend some time here, try around, but don't overthink it. Move on rather quickly, okay? And now that we are happy with our progression, we can actually export this progression so that we can use it afterwards. And all we have to do is press on this icon here, and then we say export it as a MIDI file. And this will download a MIDI file, and the MIDI file is basically a file format that is used very commonly in music production, and it basically tells us which notes are being played at which time. Okay? And if you do this, we can move on to our music software. So we're now in our music software. I use Ableton Live, by the way, but everything I do, you can easily follow along in any other digital audio workstation of your choice. And this is also, by the way, not a tutorial on how to use Ableton. So I'm not going to go deep into what all of this does, but I should still be clear enough for everybody to understand what is actually happening here. Okay? So now that we have our chords here, we actually want to listen to this. And I would have to choose a sound. And I want this to be some kind of piano sound. And just for the sake of this, I'm going to use very basic sounds. So sounds where you're not going to be able to say, okay, yours sounds so much better because you have the expensive sounds and mine sounds so flat and basic. So I'm going to do it as well. I'm going to choose the pianos, go to the basic sounds, and just pick the most basic E piano that I can find. It's probably one of these. And I just use them, and they should you should be able to find a sound similar to this in your program. But now we can listen to this, see what it sounds like. Yes, very nice. There's nothing more to say. And I think that's also where I'm going to wrap up this part. We have a very nice foundation. I think we can be happy so far. And yeah, that's it for part 1. I hope you enjoyed. And I also hope that I will see you in the next one. I hope you followed along so far and had a little bit of fun. And in the next one, we're going to be looking at some rhythmic components to our songs. Okay, so bye-bye, see you.